Boy, oh boy, what exciting times that we live in, isn't it? Indeed. Well, very exciting, very historic moments are actually happening. Developments for freedom, for truth, for self-sustainability, for pretty much the world that most people want or say that we could live in, but is impossible because there's a bunch of restraints and craziness going on in the world, or they may pass off and say it's impossible because of those restraints and because that's just how people are and they're bad and evil and all right, all the different justifications, all the different reasons for people to be lazy and not step up to the plate and do things. Well, no, we can change things. There's people who do step up to the plate and do things. You may be one of them. That's why you're watching this video. You are inspired. You want to change things. You see that there is possibility out there, and I've shown it through some of my videos. I've demonstrated even people 200 years ago, the abolitionists built underground railroad towns to free the slaves and willingly break the law in order to do what was right. You know, this is just history on repeat, but for some grand, exciting things with the inventive technology and new knowledge as we evolve in our consciousness. And so, you know, this idea basically summarizes natural intelligence, which is a book I wrote with Jim Gale from Food Forest Abundance, who is living the solution right now, right? And this inspired me to want to do what he did here in my area, Central West Florida. Now, I want to take this to another level. I think we can do even better, right? I think we all have to challenge ourselves. What can we do better? And I know a lot of people with a lot of great ideas. I'm not limited to, oh, we got to do this way or that way. I'm trying to bring it all together. It's what I mainly do anyways as the media outreach guy. And I think it's very, very exciting. I think it's amazing. And a good example of that is some footage I'm going to show you, because you're probably like, why is this video so long? Am I going to be ranting like this the whole time? No, don't worry. I'm not doing that. The rest of this video is going to be basically a video of an event that I did right before Christmas or so. It was a Christmas potluck, right? Holiday potluck, Christmas holiday, you know, same thing for me at the end of the year, basically. Okay. And so you know, it was fantastic because it was just casual. People brought their own food. There was a lot of people showing up, you know, because I have to text like hundreds of people. And I told them, I'm like, hey, you know, if you want to stay updated, the best way, and for everybody who's watching right now, the best way to be updated is either on this channel, okay, this video channel, or any of the other platforms I'm on all the ones that I can be on, at least, you know, Rumble and BitChute and Brighteon and whatever else, Odyssey, right? Rockfin. You may not even know some of these. Telegram is the second best way. Okay. In Telegram, I run a Florida Telegram there called Florida United, t.me/Freedom Florida, or the Liberator 2, right? Which I have on Telegram is like a worldwide Telegram channel. And I think that's t.me/the Liberator 2. Right. And of course, you can also find that those links on nita.one/chat. I'll have it on the screen for you guys. But also, okay, if it's not Telegram and if it's not this channel, that is fine. There's other options. You have the newsletter/newspaper. If you go to theliberator.us and you sign up for the newsletter, every week I send out a newsletter with usually updates. And now that we localized it and also have a worldwide edition, basically you'll see a lot of updates for what's going on in the community, a lot of events. I'll be posting it there. So there's a third way. Now, there's a fourth way as well, and that is the site page directly about this project, which one day we might have a direct site for the project, probably likely, but not yet. Right now, it's theliberator.us/project, okay? So again, on the screen, and also I'll put it in the description below. Those are the 4 ways you're going to be updated on this project that is incredible. And if you don't know about this project, you're like, I'm curious, what are you doing in Central West Florida? What did Jim Gale do? It's about permaculture and voluntarism, the ideas of the future. It's demonstrating how we can serve our communities and become freer than ever before, and showing to other people the ideas that are kept away from them. They're not taught about in school, perhaps on purpose. And so that is rather important to me. Okay, and I think it's important to anybody who comes across an information and they see also people getting triggered and saying, oh my gosh, that can't be true. Well, when they are going to a place and they're immersing themselves in an environment of people who are open-minded, who want to have that conversation with literature and with food forests that they can see and breathe and feel, it's a radically different experience, guys. It can really open up the minds of anybody who goes to such a place. And we have to welcome everybody with open arms, with, just saying, hey, join us, welcome to this cause, whether you're a politician or an influencer or a corporation, right? People are going to get all triggered and emotional about certain topics. Oh, you can't talk about flat earth or this or that. I'm not limited. I care about all people in this world, and so I serve all people, right? A doctor shouldn't have prejudice and say, I'm not going to treat Hillary Clinton because she's Hillary Clinton. I want her to have disease. I mean, that's not what the doctor's supposed to do. The doctor heals. The doctor works with nature. It doesn't care about the specific person necessarily. Right now, they may have to look at the individual and their body, but they're still caring for nature at the end of the day. Truth, right? Which can put you against your friends, your family, your neighbors, right? So let's all try to attain the truth together. And yes, we're going to have different perceptions of it. Some of us may have disagreements. That's beautiful, right? If we can learn to accept that and then move on. But being able to see the bigger picture, which is freedom, allows us to engage in that discussion in the first place. Freedom allows us to express our nature in the first place. And without that very basis, everything else goes out the window, right? So we are getting down to the basis because we're being attacked on all levels in our society, many people will say, right? Which is why I say nature is the answer. You're looking at the most fundamental things in life that were never challenged for thousands of years are now being challenged, such as our fertility, right? You may even say gender. You may even say the littlest sciences that have been widely accepted are now being questioned. And I think that is, rather shocking. And it could be, for good or for bad. It's people are awakening to many different realizations because of technology and even AI. And as it's new, it seems like this great thing. But as it prolongs, like anything that is usually great in the beginning, it tends to start to show its true colors and evolve into different forms. Right? So I'm not here claiming I have the answers, but I do want to bring people together around what they know and deep down inside is true. What they know that needs to happen, that other people and the world at large just is not inspired enough to do it, and they don't have the resources to do it. Well, we have it, right? We have the resources. And Jim Gale putting it in an example, inspiring me to do it, says, hey, it's totally possible. It's not just a vision or a dream, right? And so I have to thank Jim, first of all, for this. And I have to thank Jessica from Moonberry Mercantile, who, is also helping me to print newspapers locally. I gave her a printer, you'll see in the video. And, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do these in-person events. And I encourage you, if you're out there, to network and find a local business and do events. If you're curious, I have a video with over 30 strategies on how to network in your area in case you're not from Florida or you're from somewhere else. So no matter what, from watching this video, from staying tuned to the updates, seeing what our community is doing, you're going, I think, to become inspired and want to do that within your own community. And then boom, now we got a Underground Railroad. Now we got a whole revolution happening naturally from people simply disobeying, people simply saying no and showing a parallel economy, a new system, right? Like the Buckminster Fuller quote, to change the old, create the new. And then at a certain point, we may just have to say, no, we're done with that old system. We're just going to do away with it with enough momentum and courage, civil disobedience, right? That's the end goal. Now, I detail all of this and about the project and the 10 things that we aspire to do on this land on an article I wrote on theliberator.us. I'll also have that in the description below. But that article is basically my announcement for this exciting operation. And, I'm going to plan when people can go to Ryan's place. Ryan is the landowner here in the area, 5 acres, Newport Richey. Beautiful old Florida, and we're marketing it as such because there's a lot of people who are concerned about all the development going on and all the people moving down here. For me, I find that even more strategic to get the word out, especially since people in Florida are, generally speaking, freedom-minded. And there's a lot of serene nature and close connected communities, which I don't think is necessarily in the rest of America. I think it's a very special place here. You have those beaches too that are just so serene, and people, live near the coast just for that alone, right? Despite all the busyness, I think we have to preserve all that. We have to really respect our environment, and it starts at home, literally, our lawns and teaching people to grow food. But more than that, I think we'll give people the full scope at this place. And so, share your ideas with me. I'm very open to it. As I said before, at our event, we had a great turnout. I wish there was somebody with a camera to take pictures more of all the people that come to our events, because it's usually like full a lot of the times, and it's incredible just the people who show up. And if you've shown up to these events, I thank you for being a part of this. Like I said, just showing up is huge to our progress and our momentum. And by the way, I'm even thinking of, based on looking at phone plans right now, if I can get a free iPhone or something just for videos, because right now I'm using a video camera and then having to put down a computer. I want to do a lot of videos on site at the Food Forest. Okay, so that means you're not going to probably see me in this room very long. That might shift radically in the coming months in my content as a whole, which I think is rather exciting. It also will get me more in tune with the environment I like, which is nature, right? And talking to people directly and showing by example. This tends to be content too that I think is more intriguing for the viewer. I could do interviews with everybody in this community. And let's say you're out of state. A lot of people come to Florida for a vacation. So if you're, out of the country as well, you may want to consider that. Even Jim Gale allows visitors. He has Airbnbs. It's a beautiful thing. Also at this event, which I'm going to show you, is the college group that I started called Empower the Era. And you'll see some of the folks that are involved in that group. Exciting stuff. That's not even half of the people that I've gathered outside of the college. And then there's more people in the college. We have a whole clipboard of signatures of people who want events to happen on campus. So that is going to happen as we do more meetings and get strategic. We're thinking of playing music and drawing people toward us, which is, again, always a strategy, thinking rather about how do you bring people to you rather than why are you trying to tell other people all the information they need to know going at them. We have to get very strategic. Also, if you're really new to permaculture and voluntarism, the two main ideas that I mentioned before, I would recommend the book Natural Intelligence, The Technology of Peace. You see how small it is. It's a very easy read. It's got some testimonies on the back too from other folks who are involved in the network at large. And I think it's beautiful. Somebody who recently wrote an amazing article was Kenneth. Thank you, Ken, if you're watching this video. I recently posted his article, reposted from his Substack on theliberator.us, where he basically summarizes the book. So if you're new to the book or you don't read usually, you can check that out. Or there's also audiobook version, Kindle. Right. And so great stuff. Thank you, Ken, for doing that. You're awesome, and for showing up and wanting to get more involved. I'm going to actually go over some of the questions he asked because I want you guys to ask questions too. Eventually, I'm probably going to turn them into videos, right? Because I want this to be completely a transparent project, and there's going to be a lot of questions asked on all sides and all angles, and that's a great thing. He says, have you formulated a list of next steps, and do you have in mind when we can begin to execute on them? If we need water for irrigation, can we pump it from the adjacent river, or does the property have a well? Right, so these are just some of the questions. Very good questions. Will Ryan agree to some kind of agreement with the community to allow us to make investments in improving the land without the possibility of the land being sold from under us? He assumes we will need power. Can we arrange to get some from Ryan or others to get up like solar or other forms? Is there a long-term plan for that? And even like going to the bathroom, is there a porta potty on site? I mean, these are good questions, right? And so I provide some responses to him, and I said, hey, I might want to get more public with some of these questions because they're good questions, and then get feedback from other people as well. And I have to admit to the things I don't know and the things I need help with. I need to delegate responsibilities to others as part of this process, okay? But you'll see in the video, I even say, we have actually a lot of the people we need to do this. It's not like we're looking for more volunteers or even looking for money. I think we have it all in our hands, and getting started is actually basically free. So you'll see some of the answers I provide here. I say the next steps are provided on a general plan document I've been updating on the liberator.us/project, but it's constantly getting updated. It's the final page of the PDF download there. Most steps are based on the 3-year food forest plan. However, other steps will take place upon our initial design process. One of the first steps, it's a general outline of steps, some of which happen at the same time. To sum up the steps right now, I intend to connect more with Ryan's family and do an interview with him, just to make sure we are clear and on the same page. Then I will bring all the designers together, anyone who can contribute to the layout and sit down looking at his property. Then from there, we will know what to clear on the land and what not to clear, so we can schedule our first volunteer day, right? And the second volunteer day will then be planting stuff, and Ryan and I may even go on a tour around the state collecting plants from different nurseries. Even Jim Gale would allow us to take some plants. Thank you, Jim. Getting wood chips, certain plants, doing videos, all that is free. And I think it's also quite exciting. Just people coming together, sharing their passions and their expertise. Usually you have to hire somebody to do a design on a property and to clear out trees or to get wood chips. No, not necessarily. You got chipdrop.com to get the wood chips on the property, propagating plants. We already have some plants in our backyard that we can take onto the land, and from other people's backyards, people will probably just volunteer their plants. So this is awesome. Let's make a community effort where money becomes more out of the picture, because you guys know how problematic money can be. So I love this. And I don't want to go too on because this video will get too long in general. But you can see that, people will bring cuttings. The only expenses that come in mainly is when it comes to structures, inspection, soil testing, machinery. And then, if we want to, pay people for different things, there's probably going to be a lot of different things that come up, I'm sure. But either way, I think it's beautiful. Rental equipment we may need, sure, and we want to make this, like Ryan mentioned, an obstacle course, a bunch of great ideas. People are mentioning and doing a campfire and every week and then playing music. I mean, a lot of good ideas I see are jumping out there, okay, but I'm taking this step by step, and we're going to have like a clipboard or not a clipboard, like a billboard on the property where people can post things and share ideas, so we can make this more of a flow of information and ideas rather than just throwing it out there or people just mentioning things to me and it's not being written down anywhere. Okay, because I need to write things down. Whenever things happen, I need to write it down. Very important for me. So some of the questions that Ken brought up to me, I'm going to mention to Ryan and talk to him more, set up a lot of meetings like him between Kevin and Jim. If you've seen the Kevin Fretz interview I did on my channel, talking about how we can make money on the property, that is incredible. And the technology that he has, I think he's also doing it at Jim Gale's property very soon. And so it's exciting stuff. I'll leave it at that, and I hope that inspires you a little bit for what's going on, for some updates. But I'll provide more updates here and there, and definitely in shorter videos than this. But the rest of this video will just be us talking about this project. And so enjoy the footage from our event before Christmas, and there's going to be a lot more to come. Stay tuned. And I'll be going at Ryan's pace, trying to make sure everything goes according to everybody that's involved, working it through their schedules. So I'm going to push forward as much as I can, but also with caution and consciousness, especially in these beginning stages, before we can move forward with the great momentum and creating an actual business model around this and inviting the public. So definitely join us for this operation. If you have any resources to share, no matter where you are from, please let us know, whether it's a generator or some tools or monetary wise. We are open to all of it. Thank you. A lot of great things have been happening, and of course, over the past couple months, I got very strategic. If you guys don't know what I do and what we've been trying to do, I created a group called Florida United, FU for short. And it's basically to bring people together from all sorts of different groups and to strategize to really, how do we create freedom in this world? How do we prepare our community, serve our community, make money in the process so we can help other people do the same thing, and then we create a decentralized network, around the world.
just like other people are doing, and that's what inspired me to want to go find land in this area, right? I went to Orlando, Jim Gale and his operation Food Forest Abundance, where he's got, food forest that he built on sand within about 1 or 2 years, where he's got off-grid Airbnbs and amazing systems. And so over the months, I was talking to a lot of landowners, talking to a lot of different farmers, and I was like, man, I want to do something like that here. It felt very inspirational. We were doing events there, and I was like, we need something like that over here. And a lot of people were like, you got to go an hour out to find land. And, it's like costs millions of dollars, and it's super difficult. And so I literally met like so many people, but it was like, sorry, we got nothing. I even sat down with the Mitchells and the Starkeys, who own like everything and all the land. And they're like, well, we kind of sold it to developers. We sold it to put in homes. And it's like, all this development is happening. We need to have some sort of food security. And we saw with COVID, like there was like 98% food insecurity in America, where there was like empty shelves and everything. That's concerning. And yet people were buying toilet paper. People were not really necessarily jumping up to the occasion like, yeah, we got to start growing food. And of course you have the HOA restrictions and a bunch of things, and people who come to our events who don't have land who want to grow things as well. So there's a lot of incentives for us to grow food, but also make money and serve the community, do bigger events, educate the public, invite the public to learn about the things they don't know about. And so it's very exciting stuff, and there might be some people coming by later. I'm getting involved at colleges over the past couple months. I was doing a lot of college outreach. There's a whole group that I've made basically of a lot of college age people, and they're very inspired. They want to change things in the world, and so that'll be great help. And basically everybody here, this is incredible. Like right now, all this amount of people to volunteer on the land, to work like just by putting plants in the ground, learn how permaculture works, take some plants home to your family, take food home. I mean, we can create, nature is an infinite energy system, right? Once you put something in the ground and you put those roots and that foundation is there, from that foundation, everything else can flourish. So this is the foundation. You guys are part of the historic moment, really, of this all starting. This can be the domino that leads to all the other projects, right? Helping people in other places, like Sharon, who's in Clearwater, right? We got 2 lands. So, one of those lands, I mean, Newport Richie. I met Ryan a couple months back, and we kept in touch, but we didn't stay too close to touch because you were always busy, I was always busy, we were always doing our own thing. But I kept in touch because I felt like just knowing him, meeting you, like there was this one day I went to your property, right, and there was like a bunch of chickens and ghosts like running up to me. I'm like, what is going on? I went with my dad, and I was like, where are we? It was like down this dirt road. It's like, keep out. There was all these signs, like there's a Bigfoot sign. I'm like, where are we going? And this is in Newport Richie, right? This is off of like Little Road, and it's like this dirt road that's going to be a development one day potentially. And so I was just amazed to meet Ryan and his like energy and his enthusiasm and his passion for Bigfoot and consecration and freedom and growing food and also raising his family very well. It stuck with me. It stuck with me, needless to say. And really, his personality, he's one of the most down-to-earth people I've met in Florida, just who really wants to change things. And the fact he has an online presence to me is even better. The fact he's doing interviews. He's been on like the Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, all these big things where like Bigfoot. He's actually like a Bigfoot researcher. It's kind of crazy. So,
does anybody believe in Bigfoot in here, or relic hominids, or the possibility of aliens? Yeah. You got some Neanderthal, maybe? Yeah.
Incredible. Well, I wanted to share more about that, but and just before we get into that, real quick, with Jessica, which I'm going to be creating in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be settling down the newspaper and database for this area. So whatever you guys do, whatever job, profession, skill, talent you have, we're creating a database so that way we can network with each other. You can go online right now and actually sign up for that database, but we're going to make it easier on you. We're going to have it on the Moonberry website and also on my website, theliberator.us. Right, and I have stuff on the back table as well. If you're new to permaculture and don't know how like gardening works and you don't know why this is so inspiring for me, I wrote a book about it called Natural Intelligence, the Technology of Peace, which I have in the back, and any of you guys are welcome to get it. I'm selling for $10. It's basically on sale technically because it sells for like $15 online. And I collaborated with a lot of people like Joel Salatin, he's like #1 regenerative farmer in America, right? We're in touch with him. How amazing is that, right? Pat Militish, a UFC world champion, who's working with Dr. Will Spencer and all sorts of amazing technology. We can have that on this site finally, and we can show these solutions, and even gardeners will be like, what? You know, and he's basically got this land that's like old Florida, it's like sand, and so we have to convert some of that sand into garden, which is exactly what Jim Gale did, so it's not impossible. In fact, it's very possible, and with all this technology, it's even more possible, and especially with your help. So, yeah, we're gonna have a newspaper. I actually gave Jessica a printer. We literally brought her a printer today, so she can print newspapers on demand here when I create them for our local community to keep people in touch. And so we're building these systems so that way we can stay connected, we can start projects, we can create freedom, and we can do it directly. We don't need the politicians, we don't need these different ideologies. We can simply be ourselves, stand on the truth, and express it. So, hope you guys like all that. We're gonna have a book drop as well, probably like in front of the store or something like that, where people can send in their own articles, like if you guys wanna write something or you have something to share, some pictures or anything. I already run a newspaper, so this is not hard for me. You know, it's kind of like a plug and play paste. You know, I do a lot of tech stuff. It's not hard. Of course, I'm going to be shifting a lot to real life, but I make these systems very easy for myself, so that way it can be done. And if we need to hire people for certain things, we will. When it comes to clearing out the land, we already have machinery from Kevin Fretz, who's another person who wrote the book with me, who has partners in Florida all over where they do clearing tree services and a bunch of things. So believe it or not, we already have a lot of the people that we need to do
and
things.
Kevin, and I am training with Kevin currently.
Yes.
To get all the soil, to get all the chemicals out of all of our soil, and we're talking big time
Yeah.
everywhere.
His
He's been doing
technology
this
is
in California
incredible.
and in Texas, and he's bringing it here. So he'll be here in
Yeah.
February, but I'm currently training
So
with
maybe
him
we'll have
so
him
we can
speak, or we'll have him part of
rock
the.
it,
Yeah.
get the chemicals out. So.
Very exciting stuff. So yeah, you can tell it's going in different directions. If you have any questions among the books or permaculture or Jim Gill or anything like that, you let me know.
When are we visiting Ryan's property?
Right now.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think the next steps would be, if we clear out the land, and we talked about this, I broke down step by step, I made like a bit of a general plan you can see on the website
In
that I
45
have.
minutes after talking about it. Done. The book was done 2 hours later. No talent whatsoever.
But yeah, if you're not on the Telegram, join the Telegram. We use that for a lot of communication right now as well. So if you're not doing the newspaper or the Telegram, like we're going to create all these avenues in case people don't use one or the other. Because I have to send out mass text every time. It's a lot of work for myself just to do the text. I'd rather just have these platforms where you guys stay in touch. And we also, I have someone who can do drone footage too if we need from the property, but that's aside. But yeah, anyways, Ryan, I want you to talk about, share about yourself and Bigfoot, why you're into that, and also,
And the beautiful lady behind you, who's that?
yeah, and how you're willing to
My
do
better
this
half.
with us. And
The real
appreciate it.
brains. First of all, the Energizer Bunny's cousin, Cory, everyone. Funny story, never go looking at properties with your parents because they're scared to death for you, and we're not from Florida, so we moved down, and you take a 1/4-mile driveway, which we could not afford anywhere else, sandy road, it's jungle, sandy pirate cove in the middle of the jungle, and you pull down and I don't know about you guys, but people are the craziest, right? I want to be a little bit farther away from them, minus you 5 people in the room. And I just remember looking, she wasn't there, I was with my mom and whatnot, and I'm like crying, I'm getting emotional because we manifested this. I just feel like I can tell this crowd that, but we had a giant thing up on the wall that was a picture of the jungle. And we were just in tapestry, and we were just staring at it. And then when
we lived in LA, in the middle
Sorry.
of the concrete jungle.
Yeah, so we're in a concrete jungle just wishing for something more. And when I stood on the back porch and I looked out, I realized I was looking at that. And I lost it. And then I can just hear my mom in the background, it's too dangerous, they're gonna die out here, there's alligators. This is the first spot, we have to convince them no, right? And I already knew in my heart, and we bought sight unseen, like she hadn't seen it, she just trusted. As Cory said, yes, please. It's wonderful to be around all of you. It's like kindred spirits, we're all in our own little pockets. It's the toughest part for me, which I'm sure is for you, is we're all separated. Rainbow warriors are all spread out everywhere, but thank you so much and your family for not giving up on us. You know what I mean? We've got 4 kids. We're super busy. And I feel bad for saying yes to things because it's so hard to do the yes because family is a priority. But what we lack is community. We lack this. This is our version of church, you know, and just we're all into the same things, and we want to live. We want to be free people, and we want to help each other, inspire each other, and maybe talk about Bigfoot because it's fun, you know. But if Bigfoot's real, what else, right? What else is possible? So, as we had discussed before, our front 2 acres are basically wide open. I mean, her dad's like, we got to raise ostrich. We got to do something like ridiculous, you know. And it's zoned for farming, so we have the capability to do whatever, but we don't have the knowledge, and we don't have the infrastructure and the resources. And so that's why your persistence is, yes, sir.
How many buildings are you zoned for?
That's an interesting.
We're zoned for agriculture. It's 5 acres total. We live on the river too, so it has a water source, well water, like.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're
career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're zoned for agriculture.
That's
and-
good.
We're going to do necessary, I think, inspection if we have to
Yeah.
for anything.
Sure.
We were thinking of possibly building things, or temporary structures if we can't do permanent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Giant TVs or
Just
something.
Well, it's more like open your mind to the possibility of like if we're all working together and you have something that's been in your heart for a long time that you think is going to make the community and the world a better place, then please come to us. Like that, we're open like that. It's basically front 2 acres roughly, and then there's house, and that's where all our animals and the farm is, and then we have a back section which goes to the river where there's
That's cool.
yeah, that's more woodsy though. We'd have to do a lot more clearing, which I have no problem with. I'm kind of excited to do. You're like, I'm bringing companies to use a chainsaw. I'm like, you don't need to bring in companies. I'll go full lumberjack in the back. But we have like another ½ acre to 1, and then we even have on the other side. And today we just like took my kids on a little adventure across the water. Thank God it's lower. Freaks me out when it's too high, but we have a wild orange grove in the back.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? Tart, you know, a little more sour, but the kid, you would have the same reaction. That's why we're all in the same boat. You would see it in the middle of the woods. You go, I'm in Eden. I'm in Eden. You know, like I found it. And to see that light in your kids' eyes.
We
is
don't
just,
want developers taking this. I mean,
No.
for
Well,
me,
they
I think
can't.
that's a good part of advertising for us, marketing's sake. It's like every native, every person I've talked to is like, developers are taking over. And it's also why some of the places are getting flooded that aren't supposed to get flooded, including our own neighborhood. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think this is a common sympathy that if we want to share, this message with people, we can also approach it from that level.
And the beauty is, so they are coming. So everything we kind of fear, we want wild open spaces for us all, so our hearts can thunder in our chest, and we have enough room to not go crazy, but we're close enough to get the community when we need it. Well, they're putting in thousands. And obviously we're like, son of a bitch, like, we don't like it, but we got little ones. And we have an opportunity with everyone's help, obviously, we need your wisdom and your help, is to create that little oasis in the middle of all that. So the people who can't afford those things and the families that I wish there was a little farm down the street where I could go and my kids could just play with chickens for a little while. Or we could learn, like, this is a native species, I could grow this in my backyard, yeah, we can help you do it, Like, if we could be that spot, I don't know, that's heaven on earth for us, and it sounds like that's the same for everybody here, so.
And there's already some people in this room who have amazing knowledge and expertise on a whole bunch of different projects and plans and plants and the natural world. So it's incredible to have your talents shared with us. I mean, like Dan, you're from Cahaba Farms in Odessa, just to point you out. But you've done a bunch of things too. Like you've done a lot of projects, so we respect your wisdom. It's like thank you for being here and showing up just for that alone. Thank you. And so thank you for each one of you guys for just showing up with that. Right, that's step one. If we want to actually become free, we need to have, to be honest, dedication and coordination. We really do, and because these people who run the world, as you guys know, are very dedicated. They believe in what they are doing wholeheartedly. So we need to have that same sort of dedication, which is why religion has to be co-opted, and all these different systems that bring people together need to be also controlled by the state. So that way, the state is in control of the narrative. But once we take that narrative out of their hands and we get people dedicated onto a cause that they can actually unify around, like growing food, who can disagree with it, where it does free our communities and make us healthier and able to think and so many other things, fertility and mental health and everything, then, we really can shift the paradigm quite a lot. And it's right in front of our faces, too. The lawns that we grow, could be transformed. Yeah, sorry.
And doing something like that, we could invite people who don't share our beliefs. We start doing good things with children,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
People who aren't living like us, who don't understand it, but they'll want something that we have with land, with animals, with the gardening, whatever, we can bring in other people, and that's how people's minds and hearts
Absolutely.
start opening. It's
Absolutely.
not all of us started off really seeing and knowing the truth. A lot of us had just get to this place by some event
Yes.
or something.
Absolutely.
And we need to keep ourselves open because we don't want salvation, so to speak, without everybody else having the opportunity to, if possible, at least I don't think.
Why be that happy alone, right? Yeah.
Sharing your abundance is a good way to make friends.
And just so you all know, that's the hope and goal too, is that it's more than just a little farm where we make some food. It's, you guys wanna come. They're like, oh man, I haven't been there in a month. We gotta get there. We gotta throw something there. I mean, he's designing octagonal type yurts with a tea, you know, we're selling medicinal tea and it's in
Some
books.
ideas of mine.
But
But
they're
they're
just-
bringing the younger folks.
I
you
want
know.
a zip line. I want an obstacle course. I don't know if you guys have ever done Tough Mudder, but let me tell you, it's amazing. And you know what? If I would have wished I had as a teenager when I was pissed off as all hell for no good reason, just because hormones, let me run a track. Let me climb something 20 feet up in the air. You know, let me throw something as hard as I can. We can really go for it, you know, and try to keep the whole community, not just us who are, like you say, like we found our enlightenment somehow, but the other ones that are still, they don't know they're looking for it, they're looking for it, that peace, so. And anyway, but we
That's
need
why
your wisdom,
I didn't
'cause-
see. I didn't know we shared the same vision. Like on a lot of things, like I started talking to him, and it was like, wow.
but we should
I
put
didn't know.
something together where you guys can come and kind of see it, because it's always wonderful to see before, right? Because we're gonna go for this, obviously, unstoppable force of nature, right? Like, I can only imagine the spectacle.
What's the name of this forest?
Bigfoot Food Forest. Listen, let's, thank you, go big or go home, that's actually, can we write that down? No, let's sidebar just for a second. So we move in July we moved in, right before that, the first major hurricane came through, and we understood, like, oh, this is why they sold it to us in the winter, because it goes from sandy beach in the middle of the jungle to a bayou. And and like a bayou, so you're like, whoa, this is totally different. The river comes up like 9 feet. And the storm had just passed, and we were coming out of our cave, so to speak, and there was, the second that happened, there used to be 100-acre woods, so people were dirt biking in there. And you know, all day long, to the point where as you get older, you're like, I'm gonna call the police on them, like, I'm over this. You know, I'm like, oh no, I used to be the dirt bike kid, what's happening to me? I'm my parents. But she took the kids out, and they're playing on the swing. And I invite you to this too. Come sit on my porch at night. I'm sure you guys have this too, and if you don't, then come. But and then the chorus begins, and then you're just sitting in this, and you're like, we did it. Like we found our spot. But anyway, they're practicing, and it's children's laughter as well. I'm just giving you all these little details of what could potentially attract an intelligent other species. But she's doing that. I'm over working on the side of the house in the shitty runoff, because once you buy a house, you know, it's like a million problems, so I'm dealing with the septic. And the boy is digging in it with me, and she was supposed to be watching the boy, so I'm bringing the boy over, and what happens to us when we get in that mode? Now I'm frustrated, and I'm, you know, why aren't you watching the kid? And as I'm going over, the bushes are going like this, and she's sitting there, and she's watching the bushes, and I look at them, we have deer on the property, deer, I mean, everything from nature, and we had a poor dead possum today, but that's a different thing, but wild turtle, tortoise, everything. And so I just look and I think, oh, it's deer, it's the 6 deer on the property, no big deal. Dumbass, and I'm the Bigfoot hunter, and all of a sudden she goes, there's a man over there. Right? She's making it look like I'm going off track, but she's basically saying, there's a man over there. She notices somebody come out and then go back in, and I'm like, okay, this is Florida. If there's a man in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, you probably want to check that out. You know, you're dealing with drugs and some mental health issues.
Yeah.
So I look at her, and she goes, yeah, he rode off. I'm like, what do you mean he rode off? On a dirt bike. And I go, do you hear any dirt bikes? The dirt bikes had just stopped about 5 minutes prior, so it was quiet. And I knew how verdant it was in the back. Like, there was no way anybody was barely walking through there. This is before I cleared it. And so now my eyes go wide, because I can't, this is a daytime sighting too, and the dream of anybody who does this is to cohabitate. That's, you know, even cohabitate with buffalo, wherever you are, wherever, you know, the wild nature, and she saw it. So I go over, and, you know, everyone thinks Florida's flat, but it's all like this. So I go over there, and I put my hand up under the tree, and she's looking over, and she's like, yeah, it's only about as tall as you, it's not that tall. But then when you find out, when she walked over, and this is the thing with all the people I've interviewed in the world about Bigfoot, they can't hide, you can't hide a real physical reaction, because she came over And when she realized how tall it was, we're talking about something where its head was up over 9 feet tall. And she's like, you know, your body's like, no way, did we, oh my God, are we safe? You know, then all these questions come, like, dude, if something like that wanted us, it'd be game over in a heartbeat. But I'm like, well, what did it look like? She's like, I don't know, like a dark reddish brown, which you're like, okay, now everything's like lining up. And these are little details, but if you're really into it, one of the things is their gait is different than ours, and they are so prolific in their body movements and not wasting any energy that it actually appears like they're riding a bicycle. That's how smooth their walk is. So she saw them thinking they were taking off on a really fast bike, you know? So all the clues are there, and then usually these things happen in 2-week periods, and then roughly toward the end of that 2 weeks, she's up in the bedroom, and we have all those owls around. But there was one weird owl, like weird. It was almost like it didn't have any feathers. It was bizarre. I've never seen an owl like this. And she goes out on the porch to like shoo it off because she's trying to sleep, but she storms out and she turns the flashlight and she sees in the tree something kind of undulate a little bit and move. And she's a nature girl. She grew up in Minnesota, so she's like, I've never seen. And then she goes to go on the door. Once again, you're in a house. The door isn't working properly. Something else I need to fix. And then she stops and turns and looks back, and it's gone. And then she said, if you told me there were wild sloths in this jungle, then that's what I saw. Wild sloth, giant 9 feet tall, moves at the speed of Superman. I mean, so odds are, unless she's a complete liar.
Shapeshifter or something.
Exactly.
Probably a shapeshifter.
Which it could be. Which it could be. We don't know. That's the beauty of it, you know, like whether we ever prove it officially, which to be honest, in my opinion, it wouldn't be beneficial to their
Did you know
people.
that at Starkey, the
Yeah.
big park,
Yep.
they have an area there, a nature area, and it's the Sasquatch area.
In one particular part of it, because we abut it.
Well,
Yeah,
the
oh,
river,
the walk,
the river
right?
from Starkey
It's
flows
still
through
road
our
trip.
land.
Road trip. That's a walk trip.
Yeah, so we
So I
saw
mean,
that.
if they name it Sasquatch, then there's a reason.
Yeah.
Because there's what a lot of people don't know. There's
Yeah,
a
but we're also
500-pound black bear in
calling
there
people.
that if you ask anyone, they say it isn't in there. But for the people that have really spent time and looked, it's in there. But it's how do you explain it? Like that's a 500-pound black bear that almost nobody, even the rangers, know about. Seen by very few. That is one apex predator. Imagine if, God forbid, the level of intelligence was a little bit more. You go try and find a big cat. You know, that's the scariest thing in the world. Those are so powerful. Now, if something as smart as us, and imagine if you guys never, ever had any distractions in your life and you just lived in nature. You could mimic every sound. You'd know every subtle change and difference. You'd feel the energy and the differences that came through, and I personally believe that's how they live. So good luck finding them, right? But if you got some beautiful children and you're making owl calls and children's laughter, we all are drawn to the beauty of mirth and, you know, kindness and sweetness. So anyway, we've got Bigfoot on the property.
Silence.
So we'll respect him. We'll name it after him. We're like, hey, you know, we're not against you.
But they're
I'm like, is he friendly?
No, they're a part of it. They're a part of the environment, whether we like it or not. And that doesn't have to be the focal point, obviously. It's about education and bringing
I
else
want to
to
do like a
life.
sit-down interview with you, and we'll probably do a lot more where I want to delve deeper into this subject.
Sure.
Because I think
I won't
a lot of
geek out
people
too
don't
much
talk
on
about
everyone. I was like,
I
alright.
met someone in PA who actually had similar experiences. His name was Jeff, if you're watching. But you know, Jeff, he saw it. It was very similar. Like he has a really like nice property in PA, and he was actually like very in tune with the trees and everything. And the dude saw something. He was like, he swore it was something like Bigfoot. Like,
You are all 6 degrees of separation from someone who's had some kind of encounter or experience, I promise you. You know, at least paranormal in some way. But anyway, we sidebar a little. Was there any questions or anything about?
I'm sure. I mean, if you guys have questions, you feel free to ask us and everything. I do want to make some other announcements too. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, Thank you
But,
very much.
Yeah,
for
if
your
there's
time,
anything
everyone.
else, if you guys have any questions.
Real brains, just so you know.
I do want, as an action item for tonight, because I want to do it before it's too late too, some of you guys might leave early, to hand out some of these flyers to people you know, whether it's friends, family, neighborhoods, whatever. Just hand these out because I made these basically talking about the food forest, and I say it's a big footprint in developing nature, not condos or subdivisions, And so I kind of emphasize that old Florida experience, and I think a lot of old timers will also sympathize with that, and people who just don't want to see, like I said, all the development. So yeah, and it says here like you can be interviewed with your vision. You know, I think when we start doing things on the land, I would love to personally interview everybody here if you want to. You know, sharing what you think. You know, how the future should go on that property. What your ideas are. You know, what you like seeing when people come together. What type of events do you like? Stuff like that. Right, and you know, you can share your time, skills, plants, or resources, help us clear trees and grow abundance instead. It has my email and then the Telegram, so you can share this with whoever you'd like. You know, ask some questions. It says like, worried about food security, worried about, you know, want healthy food, stuff like that. So I want, like, if you guys take several, okay, don't just take one if you want. I'll have them on the table, but I could hand them out individually too. But I do want something. Zoe and Chris, come on up.
We have results at random.
Put the chicken in, put the chicken in your mouth.
Not to, like, you know, point you out or anything. So these guys are part of the college group that I am trying to Kenny, yeah, you're too technically. Yeah. So, you know, and there's a lot of others too, but, you know, I want you guys to just share a little bit about yourself and what you envision for, like, the colleges and the younger folks, or where you come from. Like, what got you so inspired into, like, truth and freedom and awakening to the world at such, like, you know, younger age? Because for me, it was like I was 13 researching, and then 16, you know, started questioning things. Yeah. And you guys, like, have amazing experiences. This might help too, because you guys might have family members who are younger, and you're like, oh, they're always on, you know, TV or sports or whatever, and they're not paying attention to what's going on. So it will help to exchange networks between, you know, the older generations and the younger generations, and also for our project. So I'll give you guys the floor while I hand out some stuff. If you want to go first, Zoe.
So, I mean, what started my journey, I just started doing a lot of research on my own. I used to watch I still watch a lot of, like, videos, you know. My first truther that I watched was Mark Passio. My uncle told me about him, and I started watching his videos about natural law and, you know, all of his videos, really. And then, yeah, it was a lot of information. And then, you know, it branched off, you know how it is from there. I started researching about the Anunnaki and our true history of our, you know, how we were brought, you know, here, or, you know. But, you know, I always have things to learn. That's, like, you know, it's just the beginning. You know, there's always things to learn. So the reason I joined this was because I want to learn from everyone else and create a community where we can all learn from each other. So, yeah. And I like to play music too. So how we can bring, you know, what we can offer is music and, you know, stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. I got into it
Oh,
real
yeah.
young
You know it.
too, and we pretty much got the same vision when it comes to that stuff. And we have a wide, like, range of stuff we know about, and we had a lot of older people in our lives share with, you know, how much the world's changed since you guys were young, and, you know, so you guys get it. But yeah, you know, music's really big for us. We think it can bring people together, so, you know.
He's an amazing guitarist.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I had to
play
perform at my ALF.
everything too, guitar,
Yeah,
keys,
very
bass.
Where are you guys students at?
So we don't go to college.
Oh, you're not?
No,
Yeah.
but we're in part of the college.
We're in
group.
business.
We're in business.
We have multiple
Yeah.
businesses. But one of mine is a lawn and landscaping company.
So nature, he knows all of that.
All
you know,
about
he was-
nature and music.
That's us.
Yeah.
Gardening.
Yeah, they're awesome. I met them at an event in Tampa. It was Screw Big Government, right? With, that's the name of the, you know, the. But it was a pretty nice event, and they were going all over Florida. It was right after the storms, and so they were actually helping do cleanup work with, like, different people. So.
We've been following them for a few years. We went to I think 3 or 4 other events in the past, like 3 years.
I don't know if you guys know Michael
Jago.
Jago or something. If you've heard of him, he was a part of the Navy SEAL. Yeah, he's one of my uncle's best friends, and they do LifeWave and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Kenny, you got a cool story. You actually live local to here. And
Yeah.
you grew
So,
up-
the fun fact, how I met Cory, he was at the beach and he started a conversation with me. You know, word of mouth is very effective, and you gotta just be certain when you're talking to people, and you'll get them into this group.
I do walk up to just people and start talking to them.
And I'm on half an acre right now, and I grow a lot of different things, but I like to focus on tropical trees that are unusual, like pawpaw. I'm blanking off the top of my head right now.
Local.
But things you wouldn't think about getting. Malay apple, wax apple, rose apple, trees like that. And that's what I like to grow, and I'm working on making my whole property be a garden, but it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time.
We're in the same situation.
We're in the same
We're like
boat.
on like 0.6 acres,
Yeah.
and we have a bunch of raised garden beds, fruit trees, chickens.
Oh, cool.
Trying to be self-sustainable
Yeah.
in the process.
And I help Cory promote these events. I pass out flyers, but promoting to people you don't know, it's not that effective in my opinion. And when you're going through friends and family and you're inviting them, in my opinion, you're twice as likely to get people in the door here. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Kenny, for sharing your wisdom and always trying to network. Thank you for always offering to help as well. So everybody, thank you. Round of applause for all of
The food was amazing.
Jessica, I want to say thank you. I don't know if you want to stand up and say anything about Moonberry, any updates or anything that's happening, but I want to say thank you to Jessica, because honestly, if it wasn't for Jessica and Moonberry, this store right here, I wouldn't have probably met a lot of folks and also done a lot of things that I'm doing. So really, I think she deserves a lot of credit.
I'd lift you up if I could, but
I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
even at the crazy days that she's
She's
had.
I'm always
literally our
looking to buy
foundation,
eggs
right?
from somebody.
So what
I
about
know.
the addition? We have eggs, yes, needs eggs.
She's asking about the addition next door.
Oh yeah,
If you want to
we're
talk about
wrapping up here soon. We're gonna be waiting on the city though for permitting, or to kind of finalize everything, but it's coming soon. In-house bakery, and I'm gonna move all the food, so that'll be more of the market side over there, and then that way I can expand on tinctures and apothecary and everything on this side, so.
That's awesome.
We're getting there, it's been a long road. Thank you for your support.
I do have sweet potatoes for any of you guys who want. I usually bring these because we just keep having more and
They grow
more.
like these.
So,
They grow,
again,
they grow.
that's how nature operates.